Okay, so let's start with, on Saturday you said, ask me Monday about Jack Vale. What can you tell us?
Jack's in with us. He came in today for the first time. He'll be with the rehab guys for the week, and then hopefully he'll join us next week full-time training.
How is he in terms of from when you signed him to now? How much progress has he made?
I think he's in a good place overall. He's just had a setback. I mean, he was well on his way to fitness. He'd played, I think he had a 50-minute game with his parent club. Then he played a second game. Unfortunately, he had a different injury within that. So I think it was more of a setback than a reoccurrence, which is positive. But when you've been injured for a period of time, you always run the risk of. I mean, it can happen to any player, but more so when you're coming back from a medium-term injury. But he's in a good place. He looks good.
If you were in a different position in terms of your other injuries, would you be feeling less of a need for him right now?
In what regard?
Just in terms of bringing new people in. Obviously, he's not new, but having that a larger squad. In terms of your injuries right now, is there a really? Let me try and reword that. Is there a bigger need for him now than if you had a fully fit squad?
Look, there's a big need for him because he's somebody we identified as somebody we really like, so he was always coming in anyway, irrespective of what went on. And with injuries wise, he's somebody we really, really like and somebody we value highly, so we always wanted to bring in a player of Jack's ability. I think with any group, when you've got a number of injuries in the same position, then it makes it all the more warranted or needed, if you like. I mean, look, you know, I've got to be careful. I do have other people pester me with agents who've got strikers because they can see the problem we've got, but we can't just keep, you know, we have to be respectful of the budget, the board, the finances of the club. I mean, the club have been so supportive financially. We've worked hard in identifying our targets. We spent wisely, we spent well, we spent aggressively, so you can't keep going back and asking for more. It's unfair. It would be wrong of me to do that. It's not fair to put that pressure on the board, and I haven't done that, but I wouldn't do it. And I think sometimes in life you have unfortunate situations, and as a coach we have to be creative in what we do, and the board pay us as coaches and to do our jobs properly and as to the best we can and to our ability. It's just really, really unfortunate, but we have to get on with what we have. We can't just keep buying more players or bringing more players in. It's not fair, and then you'll end up with a problem long term anyway. You'll end up with more unhappy players than you need. Contrary
to what you've just said there, you've just brought Mide back in. For you, you know, we saw a bit of him at the weekend. What's the plan coming? Well, will we see him tomorrow?
Yeah, you will see him tomorrow. Yeah, Mide was always on my radar. He's somebody I really like. When he left in the summer, there was a big mindset around let's keep in touch, because obviously we have to be respectful of what Mide wants and where he wants to go and what he looks. And I would imagine he probably looks beyond us, and because he did well for us last year. I don't know what happened in the background, but he's somebody that I have kept in contact with through the summer and through the period to say, look, just keep us posted on what's going on. So he wasn't a rash lastminute.com panic. So he was somebody that when he left we shook hands and said, look, let's just keep in touch. You tell us where you are and we'll tell you where we are. Really pleased to have him in the building.
On to existing players. How is Lass's injury?
Lass's, we've got good news on Lass in terms of he had a grade 1 hamstring strain, which is a 7 to 10 day injury. It's minimal, but like with any injury, and you've seen with Tyler, unfortunately, Tyler was on the verge of joining the group again. Walked out of training thinking there was nothing really that wrong with him, and ended up having a substantially worse injury than he already had. So Lass is on track. He's doing well. He'll be with the medical guys this week. And it's just a daily conversation, but he's in a good place. We've had good, bad news on Lass.
Okay, so we'll move on to the game in itself. On Saturday, you said that poor decision making cost you the game. How do you train decision making?
I think it's very difficult. I remember years ago having a really good conversation with Brian Clew, who was the academy director at Ipswich. He's head of coaching, and Brian's a footballing genius to me. I think he's an incredibly impressive guy. And we had multiple long conversations around decision making, and he was a big believer in how you improve it. I think it's a very difficult thing to do. I think you can guide people and you can help people, but at some point it has to come from players as well. You know, if I asked somebody to jump off a roof, they wouldn't do it. And I just feel in football in the modern day, I'm a big Q&A coach, and I don't want to create robots. And I don't think you should create robots. We need to have people who can think for themselves. And I think we do have that. But on Saturday, I thought we fell short. And one of my concerns with me as a coach is giving too much information or becoming too prescriptive, which I'm not. So I would like to see, I think Danny Mandry's a great example. I think Danny's mindset, I think he's quite artistic in his brain and how he sees the game. And one of Danny's strengths is that, and one of his weaknesses on Saturday was that. But I never want to take that away from him. I don't want to restrict him on that. It's something I love about him. It's finding a balance. And on Saturday, our balance, unfortunately, was too far negative than it was positive. But that's life.
So when you come back after a game, you re-watch it with the players. Do you say, where should you have been here, rather than you should have been here?
Yeah, like the things on Saturday, they're actually, Beth, they're really, really simple. The things we've done a million times, and the things we should know. The things the lads, like water off a duck's back, the lads know it inside out. I felt on Saturday, when I watched the game back, we didn't start the second half like we started the first half when you tuned in. And you know, when I watch football games, I really like watching the first 30 minutes. Beyond that, there's goals change games, there's injuries, there's substitutions, there's sending off, there's change of tactics, but you really see the real DNA in the first 30 minutes. And I didn't feel we started that in the second half. I also think I take my responsibility for the game on Saturday. I probably tried to chase the game. On reflection, I think we should have stayed 3-4-3 and stayed in the game and been a little bit more disciplined and perhaps been even a little bit more boring and rigid, because I do think we'll always get chances to win the game. So on reflection, maybe my keenness to go and do something, or I'd never say be seen to be doing something, I don't think I would have done it again on Saturday. Flip side of that is I think we've done that brilliantly since I've been here. I've been had really good results. I said it, every day is a school day, and Saturday was a school day for me also.
So we'll move on to the EFL Trophy game then. Is preparation harder when you're coming up against an under-21s team that you've not encountered as much?
Yes and no, because yes, because we don't know a lot about them. What you are watching is under-23s football and the different style, slightly different philosophy, without the passion and the pressure of fans and the things that come with it. But I keep going back to what I always say. It's about us and what we do, and we'll be no different tomorrow. You know, if James is coming to the game and expecting us to play a completely different way or a completely different style, a completely different brand, he knows we'll be linking tomorrow. We'll be us. We'll try and execute what we're very good at in and out possession, and I'll never try and say that. And that's what I say in the last question. I talk a lot to the lads about sticking to the process, never go away from it with Cruiser. And probably on Saturday I got the second half of that. I wouldn't say wrong, but we changed the process to do something different. So tomorrow I want to get back to really who we are for 90 minutes and not 45.
Is the actual research part harder when it's not a league team, in terms of how you watch them and prepare? Is it tougher to get that, or is it the same sort of access?
Yeah, no, the access is there. It's just the minutes and the numbers are quite, I wouldn't say limited, but it's just completely different measuring it against a first team. Now the flip side of that is we know Wolves inside out. We know Wolves really, really well. Myself and Scotty Fry know the club really well. We know the players really, really well. But the club, Wolves are quite fluid and changing shapes, formations, and doing multiple different things, which comes with exploration and academy football of stretching players. So we'll have an idea of what they're going to do, what it's going to look like, and that could change on the day. But they're not going to play a formation we've never played against before. They're not going to put tactics in that we've never come across before. So we'll be ready for any eventuality.
So you're hoping that by the end of the game you'll be off the bottom of the group with a win?
We want to win every game. We're on the bottom of the group because I think we've had a really, really tough opening game. I think circumstances have put us in a position to change that. But we go into every game winning a game. I went into Peterborough believing I could win the game. I go into tomorrow's game believing I could win the game. And I believed against tomorrow's game, I believe in both games as much that we can win. And I keep saying this, if we're not on top of a game, we'll come unstuck. I mean, you're going to come up against really good players. But I think by the end of the group, I hope and expect us to qualify.
I hope I don't kill this podcast, by the way. When it eventually came about that Lincoln had an interest in me, I remember ringing my agent going, "You're not going to believe who's rang me." I was thinking I could get battered here. You know, rightly so, by the way. We were just being beat 4-0 by our rivals. And then we went over, and honestly, the hair stood on the back of my neck. One of the big sells to players coming here is the fans. If you keep changing your manager or whoever it is every 5 minutes, well, how do you know if it works? You've not given it time. You don't watch a movie and after 20 minutes go, "This is rubbish."
Was it difficult to comprehend playing for such a big club at such a young age?
Sorry, the reason I'm pausing is I was quite reckless. And I just said to Mike, "I can't go to the World Cup." And he's like, "Why?" I said, I'm struggling. I'm really, really struggling. And I basically just burst into tears and he gave me the biggest hug in the world. I think a lot of people probably see my career, if I'm being honest, as probably underachieving.
May 2022, you are named as head coach of this club. Has it been everything you'd hoped? Everything you wanted?
It's amazing. Played football for 20 years, but for me, this is another level.